everybody. This is another episode of the Exodus Project. I'm joined with my good friend, Rabbi Stuart Federer. Today, we are going to talk about how to really equip yourself, not only to answer missionaries, but also to get a firm understanding of the basic tenets of Judaism and just get yourself acquainted with the disconnect between Christianity and Judaism itself. But before we get started, hit that subscribe button, turn on the notifications, give the Rabbi and I a big thumbs up, and check the description for, besides what we're about to present, other literary resources that you may need in this journey. So let's get right to it. How's your week going, Rabbi?
It's been a good week. My daughter graduated from law school.
Oh, wow. Thank God.
Yeah, that was
Awesome.
pretty cool. Yeah. Just plugging away.
Big hotshot. Now you can start committing crimes and get off.
Yeah. I wish. Yeah.
I wish. All right. So building your library. Let's do it.
Yes.
Oh, but before, let me unshare my screen. I have something I want to say. Before we get into those books, make sure you check out Judaism and Christianity, A Contrast by the man himself, Rabbi Stuart Federer, available in English and Spanish, both of which are in the description.
All right. We do that every week. All right.
That's the way we do it around here.
That's the way to do it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So first one, Understanding Judaism.
By Mordechai Katz. The first 5 are a series, well, not a series, bad word. The first 5 are the most recommended introduction to Judaism books that I strongly urge you to get if you haven't already. Not necessarily only for beginners, but even people who, were born and raised Jewish, who want a better insight, overview, whatever the word is, in Judaism. So Mordechai Katz's Understanding Judaism, number 1. Next one.
Okay. To be a Jew.
Chaim Donan's To Be a Jew. He's got another one called To Pray as a Jew, which goes into prayer. But again, just an overview of day-to-day Jewish observance of Jewish law. Okay. Chaim Halevi Donan, definitely number 2. Okay. Cool. Meaning it's on the top 10 list. Okay. Next one.
Yep. Handbook of Jewish Thought.
Aryeh Kaplan. And this is not really practice, it's theology. It's belief system. It's as a system of religion, I guess you might say. But Aryeh Kaplan, you're going to see his name a few times, I think.
Right. And you did mention that this is part of a volume, right? So you should get the whole.
No. He's got a book called the Aryeh Kaplan Anthology, and one of the books we'll get to in a few minutes. This is a collection of a few of his books.
Gotcha.
Okay. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4 books. So each one of those books is reprinted in this book.
Cool.
And we'll get to that in a minute. Okay. So Handbook of Jewish Thought by Aryeh Kaplan. Next one.
The God Book.
By Jack Abramowitz. Again, theology, not, how to light a Chanukiah, how do you light a Hanukkah menorah, how to put on, it's not that. It's more theology and belief system.
Gotcha. So worldview more so than practice, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay. All right. Next book.
A Letter in the Scroll.
A Letter in the Scroll. Okay. It's, what does it mean to be Jewish? Okay. Jonathan Sacks, may rest in peace, was once the chief rabbi of the United Kingdom. He's an incredibly prolific author, commentary, and weekly Torah portions. And
Mhm.
even though he passed away, you should get on his mailing list.
Right.
His uh, people took over from it,
Right.
and
Yeah.
they still
Even
send
his
out his stuff.
sure. Even his YouTube channel, I do believe it's called the Rabbi Jonathan Sacks Legacy. Um,
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what. Yes,
some of his lectures are
right,
incredible. Very good
right.
stuff. You can see in the
Okay.
subtext there of the book, Understanding Our Jewish Identity and
Uh,
Explore the Legacy of the World's Oldest Religion. So it kind
okay.
of gives you a bit more of an insight onto what exactly that book's
Right,
going to be about.
right. Okay. Next one. All right. Modern Jews engage the New Testament. Now, let me tell you a little bit about this book. This is a book about how and why the New Testament was written, how and why.
Hmm.
So, Mark is the first gospel. Christian scholars will say that. But
Mhm.
it raised questions among the Jewish people. So, when Matthew wrote his version, he was inventing stories to answer the questions, the objections raised by Jews.
Right.
Okay. Luke also knew of Mark and knew of the problems that people would say, but what about this? Case in point, Mark has no genealogy, no lineage of Jesus. But to be the Messiah, you have to be able to trace your lineage back to King David through King Solomon.
Hmm.
So Matthew and Luke answering the objection, but he's supposed to be from the house of David.
Right.
Okay, so Mark didn't have a genealogy. That was the objection. So when they wrote Matthew and when they wrote Luke, they invented one to answer the objections.
Right.
And he goes into very depth of this. So, yeah, okay. Uh, Next one. Okay, before we,
Mythmaker.
okay, okay, Steve, let me do something, please. Okay,
Yeah.
give up the screen share temporarily, would you?
Sure. Yep.
Okay, let me make sure that I have this now. Yes, thank you. Okay, back to this. Oh, up here. Okay, share screen. Choose this. Share. Okay, these are also basically introduction to Judaism books, which I also suggest. These are older. Okay, I'm pretty sure these predate the first five that we showed you that were intro to Judaism books, but I think they're incredibly good. Number one is the Dennis Prager and Rabbi Joseph Telushkin book, The 9 Questions People Ask About Judaism, The Intelligent Skeptic's Guide.
Hmm.
It's brilliant. Okay, an introduction to the comparative religion between Judaism and Christianity, the differences. Trudy Weiss Rosemond, a teacher of mine, wrote this in 1948 when everybody was saying, "Oh, we're alike, we're the same,"
Hmm.
you know, pushing the idea, whatever you may think of it, of the Judeo-Christian tradition. She came out with a book contrasting Judaism and Christianity. Most of what she cites are rabbinic interpretations of Scripture, rabbinic reasons why we reject, Christianity. Uh,
Was that book a big influence on your own
very
contrast?
much so. The problem is it's not going to be very impacting with a Christian because they don't believe in rabbinic
Right.
writings.
Right. Hmm.
So this is her book. Okay, Judaism and Christianity: The Differences.
Well, we have that one
Uh,
later in the presentation, Rabbi.
right? Yeah. Oh, okay. Well. Oh, okay. All right. Why the Jews: A Reason for Anti-Semitism. Again, Dennis Prager and Rabbi Joseph Telushkin. How to run a traditional Jewish household.
Hmm.
So
Wow.
Shabbat's coming up. How do you prepare? How do you serve? Recipes, whatever you need. Okay. Uh, Same thing. Louis Jacobs, The Book of Jewish Belief and The Book of Jewish Practice are both children's books.
Oh, cool.
Okay. Kind of simplistic. Okay. Children's books. But I should say actually children's textbooks. But since they're for children, they're easier to understand. I think easier to digest. We already talked about Donan's To Pray as a Jew, To Be a Jew. Okay. Isaac Klein's A Guide to Jewish Religious Practice. Very dry, very, not a whole lot of discussion. One of my most favorite books, Introduction to Judaism, Jewish Literacy by Rabbi Joseph Telushkin.
Hmm.
Uh, The best thing about that is his table of contents. You don't have to read it cover to cover. You go to the table of contents, look at a subject, look it up. It'll be 2 or 3 pages long, maybe 4 or 5, but at the most,
Mm-hmm.
and you can get your answer immediately.
Cool.
To Life is Harold Kushner. Harold Kushner recently passed away. He's the author of numerous books, not all of which I like. When Bad Things Happen to Good People, controversial.
Oh, right. Mm-hmm.
Didn't like it, but whatever. I liked it, but I disagree with it. How's that? But he wrote this book, To Life, which is an introduction to Judaism book, really an introduction to Judaism for Jews who were raised secular.
Okay.
And it's excellent.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Jews and Christians, the myth of a common tradition. You'll see this coming up again later too, by my teacher Jacob Neusner. And basically he talks about this concept of a Jewish, the Judeo-Christian tradition is just not true. And he gives history of it. Okay. Yeah. All right. There are online places to go. Obviously, you should be very familiar with all of these. Jews for Judaism, Messiah of the Truth, Outreach Judaism, Torah Atlanta, Virtual Yeshiva, Judaism's Answer. There's an S there. Okay, Judaism's Answer.
Right. That's Rabbi Moshe Shulman, right?
And that's Rabbi Moshe Shulman's. Okay, just I wanted to make sure that they were up there. Okay, now if you want to, put your
Sure.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, while you're doing that, I don't want to go any further without mentioning the obvious.
Yep.
Okay.
People
all right. Tovia Singer's books are brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
2-volume, thick work. Okay.
Right. Same thing how you mentioned about if you don't feel like reading something cover to cover. Same thing with
yes, you go the same thing. You go to the right. Okay. All right. Sorry for the interruption.
Oh,
mm-hmm. I didn't want to make it because I don't know how long we got, but I wanted to make sure we said that early.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay.
Shout out to Tovia, by the way.
I'm sorry, what?
So shout out to Tovia.
Yeah, shout out to
good
Tovia,
friend.
Right.
Hope he's doing well.
Yep.
Okay. Back to
the Myth Maker. This is an incredibly powerful book.
Unbelievably.
A little word. Okay, this is called a bibliographic essay. Now, what he wrote, what I'm telling you, is like a bibliographic essay, if you know the genre. Okay, Chaim Maccabee or Chaim Maccabee was the chief librarian for the Leo Beck College in London, England. And he wrote a number of books, The Myth Maker. The subtitle tells it all, Paul and the Invention of Christianity.
Mm-hmm.
And it's brilliant. You should just read it every so often. He talks about basically how Paul is the one responsible for what we call Christianity, not Jesus.
Right. I'm reading it again right now, and it's.
I know I should read a lot of these things again.
It's very good.
Right. Okay.
For people, even if you aren't like necessarily into this type of genre, like this isn't really something that interests you, this book will still keep your attention. Like it's that good. Right. It's great. I can't hype up the Myth Maker enough.
Yeah, neither can I.
Okay, gospel fictions.
Randall Helms, Gospel Fictions, where he also talks about like the production of the New Testament, and it's a critique of the New Testament.
Gotcha.
All right. Some of these, it's been a long time since I've read. Okay.
Oh, one I was introduced to today. I haven't read it, but it seemed very interesting. I might buy it. And it may interest anyone here listening. It's called Judas of Nazareth, and it's the theory that Jesus was actually like a polemic, a false creation over top of Judas of Galilee, in a way to kind of slander Judas of Galilee. I thought that was a kind of cool premise.
But Judas the Galilean, okay, isn't the Judas of the New Testament who, according to them, betrayed Jesus.
No,
Judas Judah the Galilean was a false Messiah that predated Jesus. In other words,
that's
people
not the
thought
premise
that he
of the
was.
book, though.
I'm sorry, what?
That wasn't the premise of the book, though.
Well, no, the premise of the book, if I whatever, is that uh, they had a person they believed to be the Messiah, the real Messiah, the Jewish Messiah, who turned out to be false. He's mentioned in the book of Acts.
Mm-hmm.
And then Jesus, okay, they promote him as the Messiah to, I wouldn't say compete with, but to move on from Judah the Galilean.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. All right. Uh, okay. The Jew and the Christian Missionary. Gerald Siegel has written 9 books to counter Christian missionaries. 9 books. Okay. In 1973, give or take, you had the creation of an organization, may it sink into the earth, called Jews for Jesus.
Hmm.
And it's the whole Martin Rosen, Baptist minister, 12 years before, who worked for an organization called the American Board of Missions to the Jews, who changed the name of his organization to Jews for Jesus after reading a book called Understanding Church Growth by Donald McGavran. Okay, the first response to that movement of real hard shell Christian missionaries to the Jews was a book called "You Take Jesus, I'll Take God."
Nice.
Okay, you take Jesus, I'll take God, and it was the first attempt to respond to Christian missionaries in 50 years. Okay, 25 years, whatever it was. But it was the first one to actually be out there and promoted as a response to the Christian missionaries that were, with the rise of the the Jesus hippie movements. Okay, it was the first real response. The second one is this book, The Jew and the Christian Missionary, A Jewish Response to Missionary Christianity by Gerald Siegel. That book was published by Kitab. Kitab basically stopped publishing it, whatever. I don't know the story, but okay, Gerald Siegel came out with a modern new version. Okay, and Steve, if you can show this, please,
Mm-hmm.
real quick.
Yep. No problem.
Okay, the Jewish response to missionary Christianity: Why Jews Don't Believe in Jesus, and it's a really thick book. Okay, Jewish response to missionary Christianity: Why Jews Don't Believe in Jesus by Gerald Siegel.
Nice.
His book, the one that this was a modern edition of, was really one of the first responses to Christian missionizing.
Hmm.
Okay, I'm sorry for the interruption. Go ahead.
Fine. No problem.
All right. Okay.
Faith strengthened.
Chizuk Emunah. Notice this is another book published by Kitab. Notice the subtitle: Faith Strengthened, 1,200 Biblical Refutations to Christian Missionaries. This was written in the middle 1500s by Isaac ben Abraham of Troki. Troki, I believe, is Italy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it was translated in the 1800s into English into the book Faith Strengthened. Originally, it was called Chizuk Emunah. Okay, written in Hebrew, I believe. Moses Mokada in the 1800s translated it into Faith Strengthened. And this book is online. You can get this book downloaded for free, or even if you just want to look at it as a reference and not download it, but go to it, and it's online. Just look up Faith Strengthened.
Yeah.
Okay, but this book, okay, first 3/4 is a defense of the Christian misuse of the Hebrew Scriptures to prove Christian theology and why they're wrong. The last third is a critique of the Christian New Testament. It's the same pattern, by the way, that Gerald Siegel did for this book and the one before it. By the way, he's got 8 other books countering Christian missionaries. If you remind me before this is over, we'll take a look at some of them real quick. Okay, go ahead.
The Real Messiah.
By R.E.A. Kaplan. The Real Messiah was R.E.A. Kaplan's, may rest in pieces, response to Christian missionaries. Okay, if you, yeah, Okay, if you take a look, and we showed this before, okay, in the R.E.A. Kaplan anthology #1, he's got 4 books, and the book right here, okay, is the book on your screen, The Real Messiah, A Jewish Response to Missionaries. Okay, you really should get, if you're going to buy this book, buy the whole 2-volume set, the R.E.A. Kaplan anthology, where each one of these books, you got, I don't know how many, are published in its entirety in 2 volumes. Okay. Judaism and Christianity, we talked about that. Okay. Already, let's move on. Arthur A. Cohen, The Myth of the Judeo-Christian Tradition, along with the book we already talked about from Jacob Neusner. This was written probably in the late 60s, maybe, I think. It was an attack on the growing idea of a Jewish Christian tradition. And he argues in there, it's a myth. There's no such thing as a Judeo-Christian tradition. You want to talk about Judeo-Christian, which I hate the term. Why do they Latinize the Jewish part? Judeo. Why isn't it Judeo-Christian? Okay, but if you want to talk about an overlap of values, yeah, there are some values we hold in common with Christianity, but as a tradition, Judeo-Christian tradition doesn't exist. It's a myth created to fight the people who are secular and to give it a means through which they could join Jews and Christians together to fight the secular.
Indeed.
Okay, but it's not exactly easy reading. Okay, Jacob Neusner, this is the newer book called Jews and Christians, The Myth of a Common Tradition. And basically, it's the same basic idea. Jacob Neusner, my teacher. All right, next book. Okay, When Prophecy Fails. This is a psychological study of groups who believed they had a prophecy given to them by God, and how they responded when it did not take place.
Right.
It basically kind of describes why Christianity got invented as Christianity. Okay, when Jesus is up on the cross and he died without doing what they thought he was going to do, they had a choice. They could say, oops, we were wrong, or they could reinvent their beliefs.
Cognitive dissonance. Yeah.
And by the way, this is the study that created the concept of cognitive dissonance.
Wow.
This is where the words cognitive dissonance come from.
That's cool.
It was the Leon Fessinger study.
Definitely get this one, people.
And by the way, these 3 people, Leon Fessinger, Henry Reichen, and Stanley Schachter, were people who worked in the sociology department, I believe, of the University of Minnesota, University of Wisconsin, one of the central but northern states. And they actually infiltrated groups who believed they had prophecy, and they would literally go into the bathroom, take toilet paper, and write their notes of what they witnessed, stuff them in their pants, and then print out the notes from that later.
Wow.
But they were witnesses to like a group who goes to a roof of a building after selling everything they have and turning it into semi-precious stones, so that when, I forgot who it was, space invaders or whatever would pick them up off the roof. Well, the night comes and the night goes, and there's no aliens picking them up off the roof. So this is one. And what happens when your Jesus dies on the cross without doing the things you think he's going to do, because you really believe truly that he's the Jewish Messiah, and how they responded, how they reacted. Anybody who really wants to understand the origins of Christianity needs to read that book.
Wow.
Okay, next.
That's it.
That's all we have?
Yep, that's all we have.
Okay, then let me do this. Okay, go off of share screen, and let's see. This is going to, okay, and let me go back to this, go back to share screen, go back to this, go back to this. Okay. All right, this is on my website, whatjewsbelieve.org. There's going to be overlap with what we've already shown you, but we'll go over it all again. Okay, this is the bibliography. Uh, we already talked about the Jew and the Christian missionary, a Jewish response to missionary Christianity. Chizuk Emunah, faith strengthened, 1,200 biblical refutations of Christian missionaries, which again you can get online. The Real Messiah, Jewish response to missionaries. By the way, number 2 and number 3, faith strengthened and the Real Messiah. I am pretty sure they are both offered by Jews for Judaism.
Oh, cool.
I think, or it's either and or it's or. If you go to Outreach Judaism, Toby Stinger's site, I think they might be there. But I'm pretty sure they're certainly on Jews for Judaism. Okay. We talked about Judaism and Christianity, the differences. We talked about the myth of Judeo-Christian tradition and Jews and Christians, the myth of a common tradition. We talked about prophecy, when prophecy fails. We talked about Michael J. Cook's book, Modern Jews Engage in the New Testament, Enhancing Jewish Well-Being in a Christian Environment. We talked about the myth maker, Paul and the Invention of Christianity. We talked about gospel fictions. Okay, what else do I have here that you really may want to look up? Avraham ben Avraham, okay, it's a counter-Christian missionary book. Okay, Beware of Soul Snatchers, How Jews Can Save Themselves from Missionary Assault. These books could be 20, 30 years old by now.
Wow.
I know, I need to freshen up my website. Escape from Jesus, One Man's Search for a Meaningful Judaism. Okay, 86, see that? 1986. Not quite 40 years old. Ellen Kaminsky was part of the Jew and worked for the Jews for Jesus. Hawking God, a young Jewish woman's ordeal in Jews for Jesus. Okay. Dove Aharoni Fish, 84, again, not that new. Jews for Nothing on cults, intermarriage, and assimilation. Pages 21 to 71 discusses the Jews for Jesus. Okay. Another book, Judaism Online, Confronting Spirituality on the Internet, Shoshana Zakar and David Kaufman. That's, you can get that from Jews for Judaism. That's a, all right. Beth Moshe, 1997, still 25 years old. Judaism's Truth Answers the Missionaries. Okay. Now we have a series. You know how Christians, when they come to the Jews, oh, look, this person was a Jew and he converted to Christianity. That person was a Jew and he converted to Christianity. They forget it goes both directions.
Right.
So this is a Roman Catholic priest. I heard him speak in Houston, by the way. He wrote this book, Ordained to be a Jew, a Catholic Priest's Conversion to Judaism.
Wow.
Okay. Toby Mordechai was a Pentecostal minister. To Play with Fire, One Woman's Remarkable Odyssey. Okay. Abraham Carmel was an ex-priest. I don't believe he was Catholic. He might have been Catholic, but I think he might have been Episcopalian, but I can't remember that well. So Strange My Path, A Spiritual Pilgrimage. Okay. This book, Michael Drazen, Their Hollow Inheritance, A Comprehensive Refutation of Missionaries. This book is online in its entirety. So if you come to my website and click on this book, you can be taken to his website. Okay. S.J. Greenstein. Okay. We are not going to burn in hell. You know, Christians are always saying, oh, you're going to burn in hell if you don't become a Christian. Right. Well, his title of his book is We Are Not Going to Burn in Hell. Okay. Now we have a series of books on the bibliography on my website, whatjewsbelieve.org. Okay. That show the pagan origins of Christian theology. And Christians will say, oh, that's nonsense. That's based on, there's no one pagan God that reflects everything that Jesus did. Well, that's true. But if you, right, like a menu at a restaurant, you take one from column A, one from column B, one from column C, one from, this characteristic of this pagan God, this characteristic of that pagan God, this characteristic of this pagan God. Put them all together, you get Jesus. So pagan Christs. So pagan gods and goddesses and heroes that are models for what Jesus is understood as. Or Edward Carpenter's The Origin of Pagan and Christian Beliefs. Okay. Kersey Graves, The World's 16 Crucified Saviors, Christianity Before Christ. Don't you love some of these titles?
Yeah.
The Jesus Mysteries, Was the Original Jesus a Pagan God? Timothy Freaky and Peter Gandy. Okay. So they'll say, Uh, all that's been debunked. Well, then why does it sound so familiar?
Right. Right.
Okay, just the statement, his mother was human, his father was God, is a perfect description of Hercules.
Mm-hmm.
Not only Jesus, but Hercules, Dionysus, Perseus,
All of them.
yeah, a whole bunch of them. Okay, all right. Now we get to a collection of books by Gerald Siegel, which we talked about before when I showed you this book. Okay, when I showed you this book, Missionary Christianity. Okay, The Wolf in Sheep's Clothing.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Isaiah 53, Who is the Servant? It's a whole book on Isaiah 53. Gerald Siegel, Trinity Doctrine Error, a Jewish analysis of the, it's again, critique of the Trinity.
Right.
Okay. Gerald Siegel, The Blood Atonement Deception, How Christianity Distorted Biblical Atonement. Okay. Gerald Siegel, Anti-Judaism in the New Testament.
Wow.
Okay. All right. Asher Norman's book, 26 Reasons Why Jews Don't Believe in Jesus. Okay. Toby Singer, obviously, that's, you can't beat that. That should be your number one book or collection of books. Okay. Panina Taylor, Coming Full Circle, A Jewish Woman's Journey Through Christianity and Back. Okay. Jacob Nussner, A Rabbi Talks with Jesus. Basically, it's Nussner pretending to have a conversation with Jesus and why he disagrees with everything, with a lot of what he says.
Cool.
You know the old saying, if it's good in the New Testament, it's not new. If it's new in the New Testament, it's not good.
Right.
Right. Okay. David Berger's book, The Jewish Christian Debate in the High Middle Ages, a critical edition of Nitzachon Vetus. In the Middle Ages, Jews were forced to debate with priests.
Right. The Ramban's debate.
The disputed Barcelona, they're called disputations, by the way, but the dispute at Barcelona. Okay.
That full transcript is online too, if people want to read it.
Right. And again, okay, everybody thinks that they know. Oh, I know everything there is to know. My way of responding to missionaries is the best way. We forget to learn from each other. Who is wise?
Right.
Who is wise? Somebody who can learn from everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
Again, Chaim Maccabee or Maccabee, I'm still not sure how to. Judaism on Trial, Jewish Christian Disputations in the Middle Ages. Chaim Maccabee, remember, this is the guy who was the chief librarian of the Leo Beck College in London.
Judaism on Trial, Talmudic scholar, I think, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Judas Iscariot and the Myth of Jewish Evil, Chaim Maccabee. Okay, 38, Where Judaism Differed, an Inquiry into the Distinctiveness of Judaism. I think that's from the 1930s or 40s.
Wow.
I think that's an old, I don't remember, but let's see. No, that's a reprint in 72. I think it's a reprint. Maybe that's the original. I don't remember, 72. All right, but that's like 50 years ago. All right, but that was also a big deal because everybody was, oh, we're all alike, we're the same, everything's the same, sweeping the differences beneath the carpet, Judeo-Christian tradition, all that stuff. And he wrote this is a response against that. Where Judaism Different, an Inquiry into the Distinctiveness of Judaism. It's excellent. Daniel Lasker, Jewish Philosophical Polemics Against Christianity in the Middle Ages. It's nothing new. What we're doing and over and over again.
In generations and generations. Yeah.
Right, exactly. And then frankly, and this is a 456-page volume, okay, The Conflict of the Church and the Synagogue, but you can get it online.
Cool.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
All right.
Well, all right, my friend. I'm quickly running out of time, but
yeah, I know.
But no, this was great. This was incredible. I mean,
all right. And by the way, the most important question to ask that every single person who ever watches this video should ask, where is your book?
Right.
Steve, where's your book? But everybody who watches this, you notice how old the books I chose are? Okay. Revealing Matthew's Secrets by Jason LaCrosse. New. Okay. Excellent. Where is your book? Everybody should be writing a book, because what one person may not like about your book, they might find in somebody else's book. Or
Right.
if they don't like somebody else's book, maybe it'll touch them what you write. So everybody who watches this video should be adding to the literature and writing their own book. And your way of doing something may not be my way may not be your way, but a person who reads my way and your way is that much better prepared to respond to Christian missionaries.
Well said, for sure. And
Right.
great advice also, because everyone fits as a piece in the puzzle, right? So
And every little bit helps. Everybody adds to the knowledge of the universe.
for sure.
All
Well,
right.
all right, everybody. Rabbi Stuart
Yep.
Federer, author of Judaism and Christianity: A Contrast. Like I
Yes.
said in the description, grab those books, as well as all of the ones we listed here today. Go to his website.
And I think you have many of them on your website to click on.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. So, all right.
Okay, everyone. Till next time, I'm Steve Eisenhower. This was the Exodus Project. Rabbi Stuart Federer. We'll catch you next time.